Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase. As always, great to have you with us. Bill Pito, along with Monica McNutt and Alan Hahn. And guys, we're going to ask John Wallace today not to use any big words. Can we maybe do that?
I'm going to try. I'll try to be as vapid as you are, Bill.
See, he's amazing. Vapid means lacking what?
It's just like not saying anything of any significance. Just like babbling.
Oh, that if wow. So vapid, you calling you vapid is not a great way to start the show.
But you might not know what the word means, so you might not take it the wrong way.
But you just explained it to me, so maybe we should just stop right now.
Bill, it was an innocuous comment by him. It's basically you just go back to being inane, and we'll.
Oh man, Monica, this is getting serious already.
That, Alan.
Get the source out. We're all growing. This is a great way for you to grow.
And guys, as always, we want to thank all the healthcare workers who are helping everyone, and we're taking care of those who are taking care of us. As Madison Square Garden and Chase are working together to deliver takeout orders from local restaurants for frontline workers throughout the tri-state area. Thank you to our home team heroes. And speaking of home team heroes, you look back to the Knicks, won the NBA title in 1970. We're celebrating that all week. They lost the NBA Finals. A lot of people forget in 1972 and then won again in 1973. So guys, really a good run in terms of the history of the NBA, but it got us to thinking as we also watched the Last Dance documentary on ESPN. John, what is the best dynasty in the history of the NBA?
Well, great segue, Bill. And, we've been watching The Last Dance, and it's definitely the 90s Bulls to me, whether you pick the first three-peat or the second three-peat or you combine them, which really makes a real dynasty. They had 6 years of dominance with Michael Jordan stepping away to go to baseball. It could have possibly had 8 years of dominance. If Jerry Krause doesn't break the team up, they could have had 9, 10 years of dominance. So definitely the Chicago Bulls and led by Michael Jordan, obviously. But what people don't realize is Michael Jordan really brought Scottie Pippen's game up. And Scottie Pippen had someone to go at every day in practice, an example every day of practice to model his game after. And the 2 years that Jordan was gone, Scottie Pippen was as Jordan-esque as anyone that's ever played in the NBA those 2 years. He was doing everything that the Chicago Bulls were asking of him. But, the 90, 91, 92, 93 Bulls, 96, 97, 98 Bulls, definitely the best dynasty that I can remember, definitely during my time. Obviously, we're not going back to the 60s with the Celtics and all that, but as far as my time, my era, definitely the 90s Bulls led by Michael Jordan. And, we're all watching The Last Dance right now, so we see exactly how he did it.
Can we define dynasty just quickly? Is a dynasty when you win?
Ask John for the definition. He's a walking definition.
Alan, are we going into analytics again? Because we've heard you redefine dynasty. You change what the definition of dynasty is. So it's on you, Alan. It's analytics. Do your thing.
Well, a dynasty to me, it's when it's a consecutive run, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's consecutive run. We talk about some teams that have been great teams over a span of time, and they've won, X amount of championships over, let's say, the Spurs, who I think is one of the great teams of all time. The Spurs won their 5 championships, but they did it over like a 15-year span. That's a dynasty because you were great for 50-win seasons, never had a losing season, always made the playoffs. Like that's a great run. But a dynasty to me is when you win consecutive championships, and it's more than 2. So it's not back-to-back 3. Okay, so the Bulls, obviously, those were 2 dynasties. The Lakers in the early 2000s was the last dynasty we've ever seen in the NBA, at least. Okay, and so I do think dynasty has to be consecutive championships when we talk about dynasties. We can talk about great teams, but I just wanted to define my opinion of a dynasty. And that to me is consecutive wins.
So the Warriors
beyond 2. So the Warriors
are a great team.
They're a great team, but because they didn't get that 3rd in a row, okay. I know people are going to hate this, but we have to have standards. And to me, a dynasty is an elite status that not everybody can just get because you won 2, then lost, but then won again, or you made the finals. Like the Buffalo Bills going to 4 straight Super Bowls, that's not a dynasty just because you got to a finals, right? So when you say, well, they got to a finals in this year, but you didn't win it, so it's not a dynasty. So 3 in a row we'll call dynasty. So in that case, to me, the Bulls had 2 of them in the same decade, which is incredible. And they would look like, to me, all-time, one of the great all-time teams because the core stayed the same.
What do you say about Magic's 12 years, guys? In 12 years with the Lakers, they made the finals 9 times, and in those finals, they went 5-4. Never did the three-peat that Alan's talking about, but they were there year after year after year and won 5 times. For me, it's that Magic Johnson era that's the best run in the history of the NBA.
I think that's totally legit. And I don't know, Han. I think that definition is a little bit too steep because just like Peter mentioned with Magic's unit, if you are there, the second or the runner-up that many times, like it takes so much just to continue to get there. And
Monica, that's so millennial of you.
Okay.
That is so millennial. Let's give everybody a trophy. Can we have a standard? Look, greatest of all time, there's only one room. It's not a bunch of rooms that we can all share. No, I'm sorry. Some things can't be shared. There's statuses to everything. There's elite, and then there's super elite. There has to be a standard. Not everybody can be in the party.
So
there is a standard. Magic and the Lakers, those were great, incredible teams, but they got stopped a couple of times. The Rockets got in their way. They couldn't get to a finals one year. So that's it. Or they lost to the Celtics in the final. So it cost you a championship. You weren't great enough to get that 3rd in a row. So you aren't at the same level as some other teams that could do it. It's so hard to go to a finals 3 straight years, but it's even harder to win them 3 straight years. That's my point. If we're going to use dynasty, we've got to make that, it's got to be exclusive in my opinion.
So are the Patriots in the NFL not a dynasty? They never won 3 in a row.
Uh-oh.
Say that
Hello?
again. What team you're talking about?
Hello? Patriots never won 3 championships in a row. I'm digressing to the NFL, but are they not a dynasty?
And I completely get it. It's so hard to win Super Bowls, extremely hard to get to them in consecutive years. And I get that. Look, I've gotten criticized for this. I don't care. We've got to have standards. And I feel like dynasty is 3 or more in a row.
Well, I don't agree with that, Alan, in terms of you got to have 3 because that eliminates the Celtics and the Lakers of the 80s as a dynasty. They both were dynasties. You can't eliminate them. No, Alan, you can't have I know you have Alan Nix, but you can't just have this hard line of you got to win 3 in a row or else. You got to have a nice long run. And if you have a couple of championships within that run, then that's a dynasty.
And be a dynasty if you lost. You
the
can't
Spurs were a dynasty. They won 5. They won 5 rings and had the greatest power forward on their team. The Spurs were definitely a dynasty.
They were great.
They never won 3 in a row.
I know. They were great. They were
they're a dynasty.
franchise.
It's a dynasty, Alan.
So by your definition, Han, it's only the Bulls and the old days Celtics. Is that it?
Oh, and the Lakers. Don't forget the Lakers.
Lakers, right.
Don't forget the
Lakers in the
Lakers.
early 2000s. It was the last one we've seen. But that's basically, to me, if we're going to have a standard, that's the standard. I feel like otherwise, what are we just saying? Oh, you had a great run. Well, it was a great run. But all right, how about this? Let's do it this way. If you're telling me that everybody's a dynasty, fine. Then what would you call what the Lakers did 3 in a row, what the Bulls did twice, what those old Celtics teams did back in the day? What would you call that then? Because they have to be on a higher level because they were 3 in a row.
Alan, there's a dynasty and then there's just utter dominance.
Yeah.
No team just dominated. There's no difference.
John, you're the wordsmith. Come up with a word. Let's go.
I just did. Utter dominance.
Bill wasn't listening, Alan.
You know, when he moves close to the camera, he means business. John, stay back.
I know.
Stay back.
I know.
All right, just getting started here on the MSG 150 at home presented by Chase. It's an argument that would go on and on, but we're going to go to break and come back with former Jets tight end Anthony Becht. He now is a radio analyst for the Jets, also covers college football for ESPN. We'll get his take on the recent NFL draft and what to expect for the Jets and the Giants when we come back right after this.